When did bad weather actually save you from something worse? I was supposed to fly to Cancun for my college roommate's destination wedding last summer. I'd bought an $800 plane ticket, booked time off work, and even got a new dress for the occasion. The morning of my flight, Hurricane Elena decided to park herself right over the Gulf Coast. My airline sent notification after notification, first delayed, then canceled completely. I was devastated. This was supposed to be the perfect girls' trip with my old roommates. I actually cried in the airport parking lot for 20 minutes. Sarah and I had been best friends since freshman year. She was the one who held my hair back during my worst hangovers, helped me through my brutal breakup with Jake, and stayed up all night helping me study for organic chemistry. Missing her wedding felt like betraying our entire friendship. The guilt was eating me alive. I kept thinking about how I'd already let so many people down in my life. My parents when I switched majors 3 times, my ex when I couldn't commit, my boss when I'd called out sick too many times. I couldn't bear the thought of Sarah thinking I didn't care enough to fight for this. I literally called every airline, even looked into private jets, but nothing was flying south. I kept refreshing flight apps every 10 minutes, desperately hoping for a miracle. The hurricane coverage showed this massive swirling monster covering half the Gulf, but all I could think about was letting Sarah down. She'd sent me the sweetest text that morning saying how excited she was to finally have all her college girls together again. My mom called while I was ugly crying in my car, and I completely broke down explaining how I was missing the most important day of my best friend's life. She tried to comfort me, but I felt like such a failure. I spent the weekend sulking at home, watching the weather coverage, and feeling sorry for myself. Every social media post from other friends who'd made it to Cancun felt like a knife in my chest. I saw pictures of the rehearsal dinner, everyone laughing without me. I turned off Instagram because seeing Sarah's radiant face was too painful. Sunday night, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining the reception happening without me, my empty seat at the head table, Sarah wondering where I was. Monday morning, my phone started exploding with texts from the wedding group chat. My heart sank. I figured they were all sharing amazing wedding photos that I'd missed. But when I opened the messages, my blood ran cold. Sarah was in the hospital. So were 12 other wedding guests. The entire bridal party, half the groomsmen, and several family members had been rushed to the local medical clinic with severe food poisoning. The messages were frantic. Sarah can't stop throwing up. Mike's in the ER getting IV fluids. This is a nightmare! My hands were shaking as I read update after update. Apparently, the resort's kitchen had lost power during the storm preparations. When it came back on, they tried to salvage food that had been sitting without refrigeration for hours. The wedding dinner turned into a nightmare of vomiting, dehydration, and emergency room visits. Sarah spent her honeymoon getting IV fluids instead of relaxing on the beach. Her new husband was so sick, he couldn't even stand for their first dance. The photos from that weekend are absolutely tragic. Half the wedding party looks green around the gills. I immediately called Sarah, sobbing apologies for not being there when she needed me most. But she just laughed weakly from her hospital bed and said, "Thank God you weren't here. You dodged the worst food poisoning of our lives." Hearing her voice made me realize how incredibly lucky I'd been. The resort tried to cover it up initially, but eventually had to pay massive medical bills and refund everyone's stay. Sarah's planning to sue them for ruining what should have been the happiest weekend of her life. Meanwhile, I got a full refund on my flight and spent the weekend safely binge-watching Netflix with my cat. Sometimes Mother Nature knows exactly what she's doing, even when we can't see it at the time.